Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay. Hello? It's weird. Getting that? Look at the chat window. That should work. Can you hear me now? No? Nothing? Still can't hear me? Okay, so I can hear you again. Can you hear me?
Oh, suddenly I can, yeah. Now I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Sometimes, I don't know why. Sometimes you have to like change the audio device and then it figures it out. No, excuse me. Okay, I'll share my screen again. Okay, so what I was saying is we have 4. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 4 keyframes up that are the basis of our animation, and all we're really doing is changing the width on this piece. See? Okay, so what I wanted you to do is I wanted you to try that, and I'll watch your screen while you do it. Is try to set these keyframes to perform this animation. So I'll watch your screen.
Okay.
And you share your screen. I'll stop sharing mine. I don't think I actually have to stop. Okay, good. You're at 8 frames right now. I would recommend going to 10. Let's do it at 10. If it's hard, if you have a really long composition and it's hard to get exact, you can use those little mountains below to zoom in and zoom out, similar to that, and that will make it easier to go through the frames. So that's exactly what we want the line to look like at 10 frames. So click on the layer, and press S to bring up scale. Okay, and click the little stopwatch next to scale right there. Okay, so we have a keyframe. You'll notice that there's the keyframe right there. Yep. Perfect. Okay, go about, yep, there you go. It animated.
Nice.
Now, yeah, go to about 8 seconds. Add another one. Good.
Then go to 8 frames and do another one.
That's right. Why do you add the I think 810, so you can just drag that keyframe 2 more frames. So just reach down and actually click on the keyframe itself and drag it over.
Oh, I can't. Just move it over. All right, there we go.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so if you had not added a keyframe at 8 seconds, it would slowly get smaller over the course of that entire 8 seconds. Basically, that third keyframe guarantees that nothing changes between the second and the third keyframe. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you add another keyframe in there and tell it to do something. Okay, so preview this by clicking 0 on your keyboard. And the first thing it's going to do is it's going to go through and kind of render and see. Okay, so you see how there's a green dotted line over that layer now?
Mm-hmm.
Hop over to my screen, I'll show you why. After Effects does a RAM preview. If you do a RAM preview, then you can set it to skip a certain number of frames, which in this case I have it set to skip 5, and I have it set at quarter resolution. This does this because it takes a lot of computing power to do all the different types of animation you do. This particular one we have up is a really simple animation. So you can, if you want to, you can have it skip 0 frames, and you can set it to full resolution, and then preview it, and it will play through it without skipping over any frames, and it'll do it at full resolution.
Okay.
And that's just under the preview section here. Once you start adding really complex, you'll want to start like looking at it at half or third or quarter resolution and letting it skip some frames so that you can still get a rough idea of what the animation looks like without having to render every single frame. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I like how this one is right here. We're going to duplicate this layer by, so just watch what I do here. I'm going to push Control-D and duplicate this layer. I'm going to come out to where I'm past my, so anywhere between this section here, I'm going to come out to where I'm at my full width. And with this, I'm going to, I'm going to click on R to bring up rotation. I'm going to rotate this down, and notice it's rotating on that same anchor point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is where we want it to be. And I'm going to set it at exactly 90 degrees here. And you'll notice that now because it duplicates with the same keyframes of animation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I have it kind of doing this little square. It comes out and then shrinks back. Problem is I don't want this one to be as long. I don't want it to go as far down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this layer and push S for scale. And I'm going to come to my I'm going to change the value on my second and third keyframe. So remember, you can jog through your keyframes by clicking here with the layer selected. You can click it. So here I am on this keyframe, and I don't want it at a length of 12, which that's where mine is. I'm going to go more like 4. And I'm going to come out to this one and also set that to 4. Now, if I look at the animation now, what it does is it doesn't come out quite as far.
Okay.
And in fact, looking at this now, maybe I'll set that to 5 and bring this one down to like 10. Yeah, I think I like that better. I'll go 5. And your number's going to be a little bit different because you drew a different size rectangle to start with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. Okay, I'll watch your screen and you do it.
Okay.
So the first thing is select that layer by clicking on the name. Yep, there you go. And push Control D to duplicate it. Okay, now with that second layer duplicated, press R on that one to rotate it. And drag your rotation, which you can actually just drag the blue numbers next to the rotation word there. Right at 90. Good. And because you had your anchor point in the exact right spot, it looks good. It looks like those two corners are joined. If had your anchor point been a little bit off, they might not have looked totally even.
Okay. All right. Oh, actually, I would want the scale to be 0 because I'm at my 4th anchor point, right?
That's right. Yep. Good catch.
That's this one that I want to be at 5,
Yep.
10.
Right.
Oops. There we go.
Good.
Okay.
All right. Nice. So you have that done. All right. I'll pop back over to my screen. Okay. So I have these done, and I'm going to name let's see, and you can just click this I. Okay, so that's I'm going to name this one. Right click, rename, top line. And I'm going to call this one down line. Okay, and then with both of these, I'm going to duplicate them. So I select both of them and push Control D. Now what happens is it duplicates each one above the one that it's named the same as. See? So there's top line 2 above top line and down line 2 above down line. I'm going to drag both of these. With they're both selected, I just have to click and drag them down below. So I'm going to put them down to here. Okay. Top line 2, I'm going to name bottom line. Bottom line. And down line 2, I'm going to name up line. Okay. Now, with both of these selected, I'm going to press P for position, and I'm going to pull the position on them. Oops. I'm going to pull the position on them down. Okay. And on this up line, I'm going to click on R for rotation, and instead of doing it at 90 degrees, I'm going to do it at minus 90 so that it points up. See?
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, there. See? I just realized something. I remember why we should have put the anchor point at the middle, because if you'll notice, these are not exactly lined up.
Mm-hmm.
So we should have messed with where our anchor point is. We can fix that. I'm going to fix that by bringing my position up, zooming in, and changing my position here. Okay, so I know those are lined up. My other problem will now be that these are no longer the exact same length. So we really need to fix that anchor point issue. Okay, never mind. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to delete those. Okay. With both of these selected, I'm going to combine them into a single composition, and to do that, it's called pre-comp. It's kind of like putting them into a folder together. Okay, so if you look up here at composition, or sorry, layer, there's this called pre-compose, which is Control Shift and C. With both of these selected, I'm going to pre-compose it. I'm going to call this one top. Okay. Now, if I ever don't want to, I can double click on top here, and it opens it up. Here's top, and I still have these I can individually manipulate. See?
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to duplicate this, Control D, and same thing, P for position, drag my position down, and now I'm going to change the scale of it to, let's see, change this to -100. And then I'll link them back together. Do you see what that does?
Yeah.
It mirror images it by changing. Here's why. Here it's at 0 width scale, and then here it's at 100, and I can stretch my width. But if I go to negative width, I take it to -100, just on the height, I've essentially mirror imaged it. See that?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of what I want it to do. I want this to come up, and then my text will come right across here. And then after the text is done reading, it'll come back, and these will go away. Does that make sense? I've created basically my brackets that are going to go around my text.
Okay.
So I want to move it down a little bit. Position, I'll move this down just a tiny bit more. Okay, cool. Yep, and then they go away. Okay, great. All right. All right, I'll watch you do that. I'll help you do it.
Yeah, I might be a little confused on what we're deleting and what we're not, but we'll get it.
Yeah, because I did two things. So first, what we want to do is we want to combine both of those into basically one layer. To do that, you pre-compose it. So with both of them selected, go up to Layer and Pre-compose. And name that one Top. Okay. Good. And now duplicate it. Control D to duplicate. Now, because you're at the beginning of your animation, you don't see anything. So move your cursor over towards 3 seconds or so you can see it. Okay, so get the bottom one, right click on it, and rename.
Bottom.
Yep. There you go. Okay.
I just want to. Oh, whatever.
For some reason, I think it wants to name those. It wants to do that to tell you it's a pre-comp for some reason. Okay, so click on bottom, and then push P to bring position up. And you're going to drag the 540 number. Remember, yep, drag that down. Okay, and now push S to change position to scale. So, yep, you want to unlink them and just do that at -100. Good. Now link it back just in case. Okay. Yeah, there you go. There's your open brackets. There's your closed brackets.
Cool.
Nice. I like that. This composition ends at 10 seconds, but our animation basically ends at 8 seconds, 10 frames. Let's change the composition. So come back over to my screen for a sec. Okay, so I'm going to go up to composition settings. It's at 10 frames here. I'm going to go, instead of 10 frames, I'm going to push 8:11 frames. And basically that says the beginning of our composition's here. By the time the composition ends, it's gone. I just changed my composition length.
Okay.
Okay. You can go ahead and do that.
Still. What am I doing? Mess that up. No.
You have to do it like a clock. You have to push 8:11, 8 seconds, 11 frames.
Okay. Wow, where am I punching that in?
Okay, so you have composition 1, and you go up to the top at composition, very, very top, up in the menu bar, and go to composition settings. And then you'll see your duration down at the bottom. And just push 8, colon, or semicolon, doesn't really matter, and 11. Okay, now check it, make sure that it begins and ends. Good. Okay, now in your project window on the left, change the name of composition 1 to brackets by right-clicking and going down to rename. Okay, so we have our brackets. The animation is done on the brackets. Now we're going to do the text. You know, Daniel, I'm thinking these brackets will work really good for single lines. They won't work as well if we have to go down to a second line on our text. I know we're going to have to do that. So I think for now I'm going to turn the bottom brackets off, just with the eyeball.
Okay.
So we just have the top bracket. In fact, I'm gonna yeah, I think this is what I'll do. Okay, so I've got both brackets here. I'm gonna turn the bottom one off on this one. In my project window, I'm going to duplicate this, Control D, and I'm going to call brackets 1, rename top brackets, and brackets 2, I'll open it, top brackets too, I'm going to turn the top one off and the bottom one on. And I'll name that one bottom brackets. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we can put the top ones above the top ones and the bottom ones above the bottom if it's a paragraph. That should work just fine.
Okay.
Okay, so next thing we want to do is we want to create some text. So, open. I'm trying to remember what this is called. Yamaha YXZ 1000R. That's what it's called. Okay. So I want to make a new composition. Composition, new composition. Yamaha YXZ 1000R. Okay, so again, I just have a black. It's transparent really, but for right now it's just black here, and I'm going to put some text up on it. Okay, we'll put some text just by clicking the text button and clicking this text in here. Type Yamaha, and now that I have some text, I can come in and kind of change it around. Reset character. Okay. So with Yamaha, oh shoot, bigger. What? What do I do? Okay, reset character. Yamaha. You can drag this to enlarge the text. Okay, Yamaha. That's Times New Roman. I don't want to use Times New Roman. I'm trying to find a different font here. Trade Gothic. I like that. Okay. Yamaha YZX 1000.
Is it YXZ?
It might be. Yeah, it is YXZ. Good catch. YXZ 1000.
All right.
Okay. So I'm going to have this come in, and then go back out. And I think I only want it up on screen for about 4 seconds. So I'm going to change my comp to just a little longer than 4 seconds. So composition, settings, I'll go 4 and 5 frames. Okay, so I have this here.
Oh, also, do you want to have an R on the end of that 1000?
Yes.
Yeah, just don't want it to mess something up.
Yeah, good. Okay. So, I haven't decided where I want to place this on the image yet because I don't have the video in front of me. So I'm just going to put it on transparent, and we can move it around later. Okay, so I have this. I know by about 1 second in, maybe half that, maybe 20 frames in. Let's go exactly half, 15 frames in. I want it to be in place. It'll stay where it is, where it needs to be until another half second, and then it'll go away. The reason I'm doing that is because the bottom brackets come in at 10 frames, and then the letters will be in place by 15 frames. So the brackets will be in place first, and then 5 frames later the words will be there. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to kind of center it. It doesn't really matter because I don't know where it's going to go on my video right now. I'm going to kind of center it and say that is my starting point. So I'm going to come to 15 frames, and with the layer selected, I'll push P to bring position up, and I will set this position. Okay?
Okay.
And then the same thing. I know that at the beginning I want it out of this. So I'm going to drag this off of that position. And you can see this tells me where its final position is. And I want it just past that. Okay, so the obvious problem is between here, it's still visible here, and I don't want it to be visible here. I want it to only be visible once it crosses this point. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So how will I accomplish that? It's a tool we've already used with the green screening.
What would you make?
1 second. Let me answer Mildred's call. Hello, Mildred. Okay lang. Nagwo-work ako. Sa bahay. I'm on a webinar with Daniel. Alis pa lang. Okay, babe. Talk soon. Bye. Okay, so the tool that we've used before that does this, that accomplishes this, is a mask. So I want to come back to here, and I know that I want it to be masked. So I'm going to set a mask that comes right up in between these spots here, see? So now this is the same thing as the shape layer we drew before, but because I have a layer selected, instead of drawing a shape, it's going to instead draw a mask. I'm going to come right to here. And the mask is doing the wrong thing. It's adding. I actually want it to subtract. No, not subtract. What I want it to do is invert. There we go. Why do my mask position change? That's weird. What? Oh, this is weird. I'm confused. I'm sorry, Daniel. I don't want my mask to move. And it is. Oh. I see what's happening. Mask path. Weird. Okay, I know why that's happening. Never mind. Okay, I don't want to draw a mask on that. Okay, I see what I was doing wrong. Yamaha YXZ 1000R. Okay, so what was happening that I didn't realize was that the mask was moving with the layer, and because I was changing the position of the layer, the mask just moves with wherever the layer goes. Okay, so I don't want it to move with this layer. I want it to the mask to stay in place even if the layer does move. Okay.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do instead is, this is another tool we've already used, is I'm going to draw a shape. And in this case, I don't care. It can just be a white shape. I'm going to make sure that this layer is not selected. And I will draw a shape in here like this. Okay. So I'll set my position at 15 frames. On the text layer, I'll set the position to here. And when I move off, I'm going to make sure it disappears behind this. So there it comes in. Now, if you remember, we were using a thing called TrackMat sometimes. Remember when we were just turning our screen into black and white? Do you remember that?
No,
With the green screen, when we would just turn the green screen into screen matte, which is just black and white.
Yeah. Okay.
And what it is everything that's white is opaque, and everything that's black is transparent.
Yeah.
That's the same case here. We have this white thing here, and we want this to be a track mat to create transparency on this below it. So, okay, so what I do is with this Yamaha layer, I'm going to set it to alpha matte. Oops, alpha matte inverted. And so it's using this layer above it as an alpha matte. So this stuff will just kind of looks like it just comes in. What it's really doing is it's using the layer above to say hide, make this invisible. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. I know you're not going to memorize all this. That's okay. I'm just talking through what we're doing.
I get the idea of it though.
Yep, that's the idea. When you set this to track mat, note that it turns this layer off. If you turn it back on, your track mat's not working, so turn it back off. Anyway, you shouldn't ever need to turn it on. Okay, so what we have is we have text that comes in off from behind something, and then we'll have the brackets that go above and below it. Okay?
Okay.
So we have this here. Good. I'm going to grab top bracket and drag this down into the composition. I'm going to put it right above the shape layer. You can see this black line appears. I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to let you catch up.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so first thing we need to do is put a text layer in. I'll come watch you.
All right. So we need to
So yeah, new composition. And just make this one about 4 seconds and 5 frames.
Called it the name of the thing, right?
Yeah, it's called Yamaha.
Yamaha
YXZ 1000.
Okay, good.
Okay, so yep, you have it up in your timeline. Good. Now grab your text tool at the top and click roughly in the middle. Set your, okay, yeah, go ahead and type the words Yamaha. Good. And now, yep, now you want to go change your size and your font. I think you need to confirm that text first by clicking back to the selection arrow. So go back to the selection arrow at the top. There you go.
Which one did you pick? It doesn't really matter that much, does it?
No, actually, well, let's do it. Let's do this for, I did Trade Gothic. Do you have that?
I don't think I
No?
do.
Okay, let's do a different font then. Minion Pro. What's Minion Pro look like? Oh, no, I don't want that one. Let's do a sans serif one. We don't want the serifs. Oh, that was kind of cool. There was kind of a technical looking one. Go back up a little bit. Yeah, what's that? Orator?
That is Orator STD.
Orator standard. Orator STD. Orator. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's do that one.
Be scale. So I want it to be bigger. Okay, how about that?
Okay, kind of drag it more towards the middle. Good. All right, so by 15 frames, you want it to be in place. So go over to 15 frames and click on P position. When resizing text, what you did is you changed the scale. That's okay, because text is vector and you can enlarge it really big and it doesn't lose quality. But it's probably a best practice to get in the habit of changing the scale of text by changing the font size, which you could have done. It's okay how it is, but
Just like right here.
yeah, you can just drag that and change the font size. Mine's at about 120, but
Okay.
but you're also at a pretty large scale now too, you know. So anyway, that's probably a best habit to size your text with the font size rather than scale.
Okay.
Okay, anyway, yeah, so kind of, yeah, it's pretty well centered. Okay, good. All right, now at 15 frames, that's where you want it to be. So yep, you got your keyframe there. Why don't, before you do this, why don't you go ahead and draw the rectangle in? So make sure you click off the layer because you don't want to draw a mask. Yeah, that's where you want it to go. Now, go back down to the Yamaha layer and drag your marker to 0 frames. and you want it to, now, yeah, just change your position. So it goes all the way behind that. You're going to get to the edge of your screen with the mouse, so hold shift. There you go. Good. Okay, so C, how does the animation look?
So I guess I could do that. Oh no, whatever. But
Nice. Okay, so click on the Yamaha, and then under track mat, it's set to none right now. Yep. Click it to alpha inverted.
okay.
Okay, good. Nice. Comes in, appears in. Great.
Beautiful.
Great. What we want to do is we want to make it go back out. So let's go to the last 15 frames and watch this. So come back over to my screen for a second. Okay, so you see this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to actually just highlight these keyframes, this position. With them highlighted, I'm going to push Control C and come down here and push Control V. Now I have them. The problem is they're in the wrong order, so I need to drag this one to the end. And I can hold Shift and it'll kind of snap to the end there. What? My 8 frames? Did I tell you to leave this up for 4 frames? Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Composition settings. Okay, there we go. No. Composition settings. 405. Okay, so I can highlight these, push Control C, and I can push Control V as long as I'm not on these same keyframes. Control V, and it pastes the keyframes over here. This is the one I want to be at the end here. So I'm going to drag this one to the end. I'm going to drag this one over here. Where's my? So I want to actually write out 4 seconds, and then this one at 3:15. See, and so it comes in, and goes out.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, bud.
Where's the chocolate?
It's in there. You can have a piece. Bottom.
Why do you keep them in here?
I don't have the chocolate from last night, but there's other chocolates in there. Are you doing it?
I am now. Yes.
Okay. So highlight the keyframes, draw a box around them. Yep, good. Control C to copy them. Come in. Yeah, there you go. Control V to paste them. And then you just have them switch positions, right? Because
Yes.
you want the opposite movement.
So
You have both of them selected right now, so click in the gray area to deselect. Yep, there you go. Now the first one you want to drag to the end of the comp, and the second one you want to drag to 3:15. Good. Yeah, I actually put mine right at 4 seconds.
You put this right at 4 seconds.
The last one. The fourth one, not the third one.
Oh, okay.
It just gave me 5 frames of leeway, kind of, you know. Cool. In and out.
Sweet.
Good. Okay, so let's save our work. File, save. Save it in that same folder.
Okay.
Okay, so watch this. Okay, so I'm going to get top brackets, and I'm going to pull it in, and you see this black line kind of tells you where it's going to go. I want it above. I want it on the top layer there. Okay.
Okay.
And notice it starts right at the same time my animation starts, which is fine, but it's in the wrong position. That's okay. I'm going to change positions of it. So I'm going to come to where it's in place and then click on that layer and press P for position. And then just kind of drag my positions until it gets where I want it. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so we have a problem, and it's that our I think I want to go a little higher, a little more distance. Okay, and so the problem is that this is only a 4-second frame, or this is only a 4-second composition, and my brackets are at 8 seconds, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, so you can see where both of these end right here. This one, it continues off. It goes way off down there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this layer. I'm going to take this top bracket. I'm going to push Control D to duplicate it. And then I'm going to drag this end of it this way. And to do that, you have to actually click on the end here. See how it changes?
Mm-hmm.
So I drag that here, and then I can click on this part of the layer, and it turns into a handle. So what this tells you is this part of it is cut off. We're not going to see it. Okay. Then this part of it is where it will go away. So I want where it fades out here. Let me turn this off for a second. I want it to fade out with this. So I'm just going to kind of watch, and that looks like the timing is pretty good on it. Okay. So what happens is I want this bottom one to go to here, and then the top one to go to the end. So I'm going to come here to this one, and I need to cut this here. Well, I can't grab the handle because it's off. See, so there's no. So how do I cut this? You have to do it with a keyboard shortcut, which is Alt and right bracket. And Alt right bracket. And I would recommend that if you start doing this a lot, you should just bookmark a page that has After Effects shortcuts, so you can always check it. But you'll get really used to that. Alt left bracket puts an in point, and Alt right bracket puts an out point. See that?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have them overlap here a little bit because it's okay, because it's like the exact same image. They're just overlapping each other right here. But what happens is what's up with you? Kevin, what's going on? Why is it doing? Ah, I'm annoyed. What's going on here? Top bracket.
Oh, jeez.
What's up?
Actually, I just realized. Oh god, I actually have to go someplace at 3.
Okay, I have to go somewhere at 3 too. So
Oh,
do you have to
wow.
be there by 3?
Yeah, it's pretty close, but I kind of need a shower. I thought it was at 4. God damn
Okay.
it.
All right. Okay. Well, we finished this part of it here at least, huh?
Sorry, I really thought it was 4.
That's okay. I have to leave pretty soon anyway. So, all right. Well, essentially what I wanted to show you is that we've created these brackets in different compositions, but I can bring them into this composition to kind of put them together. Okay. So I have those. There they go. So they fade in and out. So now I have this title that's done, and I can export this as a transparent title, and we can bring it in and put it in right into Premiere. So that's what we need to do is we need to, and we'll work on this again tomorrow or over the weekend or whenever we have time. But we're going to go through and figure out what needs to be said and come and create these in here and then put them on top of our Premiere. And once we've done that, I think we're basically done. So
Okay.
anyway, it's taking a little bit longer because we're doing some training, but we're learning how to do it. Are you available tomorrow afternoon? I'll probably be back by around. I can probably start around like 2 o'clock tomorrow if you can.
Yeah, I could do that.
All right, let me stop screen sharing. Okay, cool. All right, let's plan for 2 o'clock tomorrow, and let's see if we can try to knock most of this out.
Okay.
Will you email me your Premiere project file so I can see how it's been kind of all put together?
Sure.
You can just email that tonight sometime.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, talk soon. Bye.